Welcome to Nurse on Call. This podcast provides emotional support and general education from a registered nurse. It is not medical or mental health treatment and does not replace care from a licensed doctor. If you are experiencing a mental health emergency or an immediate danger, please contact emergency services or a crisis hotline in your area. Always seek care from a qualified healthcare or mental health professional for individual concerns. Thank you. If you've ever loved someone deeply and still felt irritated by them, if you've ever done everything for someone and then felt a flash of emotion you didn't expect or understand, like anger, sadness, or confusion, take a deep breath with me. Today, we're talking about something caregivers rarely say out loud: resentment. Welcome back. I'm Mai, a registered nurse, and this is our space to breathe, reset, and feel supported. Before I continue, I want to say that I appreciate those of you tuning in. I understand that time is precious and irreversible. Spending it with you means more than words, and I hope that I can provide insight into your healing journey. Allow me to continue. In our last episode, we talked about caregiver burnout. Today, we're going one layer deeper. Sometimes burnout doesn't just feel like exhaustion. Sometimes it hardens, and it turns into resentment. If that word makes you uncomfortable, please stay with me. Resentment does not mean that you are cruel. It means something inside of you has been unintended for too long. What is resentment? Resentment is unexpressed overwhelm. It's unmet needs that have stacked up quietly. It's sacrifice that has gone unseen. It's giving without replenishing. It is the selfless act of prioritizing someone else's needs for a very long time. And here's the most important part. Resentment doesn't usually start loud. It starts subtle, builds, and builds. Have you ever played the game Jenga? It is the equivalent to the theory of that game. You stack, build, and build until something or the whole thing falls down. Some subtle changes that indicate that the tower and stacking is getting high can look like a sigh that lasts a little longer, a shorter tone in your voice, feeling more irritated by requests that used to feel manageable, avoiding eye contact, and needing more space. Over time, if nothing changes, the brain begins to associate the person you're caring for with stress. This does not mean that you don't love them. It means your nervous system feels overloaded. And when the nervous system is overloaded, it shifts from compassion to self-protection. Resentment is often that protection response. The hardest part of resentment isn't the feeling itself. It's the guilt that follows it. You might be flooding yourself with questions of, how can I feel this way? They didn't ask to be sick. They're suffering more than I am. I should be more patient with them. I am responsible for them. Till death do us part? A good spouse, daughter, or parent wouldn't feel like this. Now, quietly ask yourself if you've ever asked these questions. I am 100% sure that whoever is caregiving have asked these questions, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Here's the truth. Two people can be suffering at the same time. Their illness does not erase your exhaustion. Their limitations do not erase your needs. Caregivers often believe they must be endlessly compassionate to be good. But compassion without boundaries becomes depletion, and depletion often becomes resentment. How resentment shows up. Let's name it gently. Resentment can show up as emotional withdrawal, such as not having interest in the things that you used to enjoy or the activities that used to excite you. Passive-aggressive comments. Irritability over small things. You feel like you're becoming more impatient and that you're walking on eggshells. Keeping score mentally. How many things have I done for you now? Fantasizing about escape. This can be done through thoughts of vacationing, starting new projects, a new job, or even leaving physically. Feeling invisible, as if you're not even there. Feeling unappreciated, overworked. Loss of tenderness or increased sensitivity. You may notice yourself thinking, no one is taking care of me. I do everything. I don't ever get a break. And sometimes resentment isn't even towards the person you're caring for. It may be towards others, like siblings who don't help, a healthcare system that is complicated, friends who suddenly disappear, a spouse or family member who doesn't understand, or even resentment towards yourself. Resentment is rarely about one moment. It's about accumulated weight. The nervous system and identity shift. There's something biological happening too. Chronic caregiving keeps you in a constant state of responsibility. Your brain stays in problem-solving mode. When there's no relief, the body shifts into frustration and irritability because it's searching for control. Add identity loss to that, and resentment deepens. When you forget the little things you love, what makes you smile, your passions and goals, the cut definitely deepens. You may feel like, I'm no longer just me. I am just the caregiver. You may have questions like, what is my purpose, or who am I? When identity shrinks, frustration grows. How to prevent resentment from hardening. Resentment hardens when it stays unspoken and unsupported. Here are real strategies to help soften it. 1. Name it without shame. Instead of saying, I'm a terrible person, try, I am overloaded and I need support. Language shifts nervous system response. 2. Separate the person from the situation. The illness is the stressor. The constant responsibility is the stressor. The person is not the enemy. When we blur those lines, resentment intensifies. 3. Schedule non-caregiver identity time. You need time where you're not on. Remember that light switch we talked about last episode? Let's turn it off to remind ourselves what humanity is. So what does that actually mean? That means optimizing our senses and enjoying them through what tastes good, what smells delicious, what looks gorgeous, what sounds calming, and what feels right. It is taking a deep breath and holding that in for 10 seconds, only blowing out the gas that it releases. It is looking at yourself in the mirror and appreciating the beauty that was blessed to you. It is being grateful for the small things like having resources such as food, water, clothing. It is remembering who you are and what your passions and purpose is. Allow us and yourself to continue being a friend, a creator, a reader, a walker, and a laugher. Caregiving can come in many ways. You can be caregiving to a person who has a chronic illness, such as someone who's had a stroke, ALS, myasthenia gravis, MS, or even cancer. Caregiving can also be given to a child who may have been born with a genetic disorder such as autism, Rett syndrome, Williams syndromes, and Down syndromes. It can even range from being a single parent to multiple dependents. I know what it feels like to be a caregiver because it is my purpose. I am a single mother of 2 dependents. I remember I went through many restless nights. At the beginning, it was very numb because I was on all the time. I remember 3 months in, having to return back to work in the hospital. I worked overnights in the ICU, and when I came back home, I was depleted. I heavily relied on other family members and the grandparents to help. I was giving so much that I forgot about myself. I didn't realize until one day I was playing a game with my family, and a question card was asked about who I was and what I enjoyed. You would not believe the confusion I felt inside my head. I could not answer that question. I felt embarrassed, and after that moment, I knew that there was a buildup and my Jenga was about to crumble down. It took me many years to reinvent myself, but the most important part that I was able to detect that there was a problem. In my case, it was identity. Quickly, I researched on Google on how to provide self-care and try new experiences. I was on a journey to reinvent myself. I prioritized it and implemented these activities 30 minutes per week and gradually increased that to get to where I'm at today. This is our responsibility. We need to protect our identity. 4. Communicate needs early. As mentioned before, resentment grows in silence. Please say, "I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. I need help," is much healthier than waiting until you explode or may say something that you may regret. For me, this was the hardest thing to do. Sometimes we have to lower our pride and come up with the honest realization that we need help. And this is initiated through your voice, through our voice, through everyone's voice. It is our responsibility. 5. Release unrealistic expectations. We are human. You are human. You cannot be endlessly patient. You cannot predict every outcome. You cannot solve everything. You cannot do this alone forever. Resentment often dissolves when pressure decreases. You are okay. You too are worthy to be helped. Resentment is not proof that you don't love someone. It is proof that you have limits, and limits are human. You are allowed to have emotional boundaries. You are allowed to need rest and want to own your life too. You can love someone and still need distance. Those things are not opposites. They coexist. If you've been carrying quiet resentment and feeling ashamed of it, I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are overloaded. And resentment is often a signal, not a character flaw. A signal that something needs attention. You might need support, rest, conversation, therapy, or even shared responsibility, but not silence. You deserve care too. You deserve to exist outside of responsibility. And if this episode felt uncomfortable, that is okay. Growth often does. You are growing. Take one small step this week towards protecting your energy. One boundary, one honest sentence, one moment of space. Please continue to be kind to your body and even kinder to your heart. If you are enjoying my content and are finding that it is contributing to your healing journey, I would love to hear more about your stories and most importantly about you. You can email me at nurseoncallpod@gmail.com. I'll see you next week. Nurse on Call.